I saw something a couple months ago on a driving range that I cannot unsee. In fact, every time I think about it, I get more and more riled up. I even doubt myself and go over the scenario in my head and wondered if I should have done something different, maybe should have intervened. See, there was this kid. She was maybe 12 or so, and her swing was absolutely flawless. She was hitting the ball shot after shot to perfection. I was hitting the rest of my bucket, so I wasn't really paying attention to her that much, other than just in awe of her talent and the beauty of her swing. I also couldn't ignore her dad, who was standing behind her watching her every move with his arms crossed. I don't love that, but whatever. I see that a lot on this course. And in some way, I like to see it as a positive. You know, parents supporting their kids' love for the game. I mean, how can you go wrong? Well, a few minutes into it, I noticed a bit of a commotion happening. The dad was standing in front of her and was very angry at something. His voice kept on getting louder and louder. And I thought maybe she got in trouble for doing something non-golf related, but I was paying attention to the hand motion and his physical gestures, and he was mad at something she wasn't doing right with her swing. So in fact, he was so angry about it that she started to cry. She had her head down and she kept wiping her tears that was streaming down her face. The dad was relentless. I couldn't understand what he was saying, but all I knew from this scene was that it just wasn't right. It got to a point where it seemed almost like abusive. So I argued in the back of my mind if I should just walk over and say, "Hey, is everything okay?" But I didn't. And eventually he walked away and she started hitting the ball again. But this time she was just going through the motions. The life and joy had left her, and I felt her sadness. And I said to myself, "Bro, what are you doing? What is the matter with you? Why? Why would you do such a thing in front of all these people to your own child?" Hey, this is Hanju Lee, and you are listening to Better Golf Academy. I'm here to share the best secrets of improving your score without boring you with mechanical swing tips. It's all about strategy and your mental game. So are you ready? All right, let's go. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the Better Golf Academy podcast. I am your host, Hanju Lee. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you had an amazing week. Me? Well, thanks for asking. I've been busy. I started giving lessons, and now I have 3 students, and it's been super life-giving for me and really rewarding so far. I've been writing curriculum for beginners and going through all the essential fundamentals. So I'm teaching that, but also I have some more advanced players and I'm meeting them where they are in their game. And someone asked me what my teaching philosophy was. So here's my pitch. You guys want to hear this, right? So first I tell them a story when I took a professional lesson and I already knew how to play. I was like 7 or 8 handicap at the time. And I wanted someone to help me get down possibly to a scratch level. Well, this pro, he didn't bother analyzing my current swing and what I was doing right. He didn't even ask me any questions about my game. He just went right into what he wanted to teach me. And he completely revamped my swing and had me do all these drills and not only completely jacked up my swing, but my confidence in my own swing, something I relied on during all the years of playing. He just squashed it by basically telling me that I needed to completely redo my swing without telling me that I needed to completely redo my swing. You know what I mean? And this 1 hour session spiraled me into a dark place where it took me several years to get out of, mostly on the mental side. And I had to relearn how to believe in myself and being okay with not having the perfect swing, but making my swing work. Looking back, maybe it was more me than him. I think he knew what he knew and he wanted desperately to teach me, to really get me into a different level of swing. But maybe I just wasn't ready for it. So anyway, my philosophy is kind of just that. We all have unique swings. I'm not here to revamp you. I'm here to help you refine. It's mostly provide accountability, give you tools to work on, and be your number one cheerleader. And guess what? I want to help you enjoy the game. So that's my pitch. But enough about me. Let's go back to the story about the little girl. The biggest trigger for me from what I was witnessing was, how is this helping versus completely destroying any chance for this kid to thrive in golf? And what I mean by thrive is them having their own ownership of wanting to improve, win, and learn. And of course, have a blast along the way, right? And here's a bigger question for all of us parents. Can we raise kids who are truly competitive and even maybe dominant in a sport, in golf, while still keeping their love for the game intact? Or are we forcing kids to choose between excellence and enjoyment? So one or the other, kid. You want to be good or you want to have fun? My kids are all grown up. One is married and the other one's engaged. But I remember really having a dilemma when they were just getting to start and enjoy team sports. Our thought was to first introduce them to every sport that's out there, to see which one they naturally gravitate to and see what they're naturally good at, right? Makes sense. So we put them in soccer, baseball, golf, gymnastics, basketball, tennis, swimming, dance. And our strategy was that when they enter into high school, we figure out which one that they like and want to pursue. And we pour their energy and life into it. And we take on additional jobs as parents to support their love and passion for the game. And then they become like these crazy Olympians, get their gold medals, tribute their success to the most incredible and supportive parents who sacrifice everything for them, and everyone lives happily ever after. How's that for a game plan? You with me, parents? All right. Well, funny story. We try to foster a very safe place when it comes to sports for our kids, especially when it came to golf. I want it to be fun. I want it to be a tool that I get to use to spend time together. But I also, we both talked about, like, this should be part of discipline too. Like, we want them to excel. We want to teach them how to work hard, put in the time and effort. It's a hands-on life lesson for us all, right? So far, so good. So now, after years of great coaches, lessons, some tournament experience, they were ready to go to the next level. And it was perfect timing for our oldest son, who is entering into high school. So we asked this question: which sports would you like for us to support you in? And he thought for a long time, and he said, well, definitely not golf. So I choose track and field. What? Okay, well, now he's out of college, found a career, now he's married, and guess what? He wants to start playing golf again. In fact, we've been playing and entering in tournaments together, and it's been a blast for me. And we were chatting the other day, and it was a day after, like, both of us really struggled on the course, having one of the worst rounds. And he looked at me and he half jokingly said, "Dad, why didn't you force me to keep playing when I was a kid? I would have been so good by now." I'm like, what? I tried. And maybe no matter what you do, there's no winning for parents. And I do sometimes wonder, do we give up too soon and robbed our kids of experience the elite level sports, giving them the opportunity to further their career in it? I don't know. So here's a question of the year. How can we raise kids to be truly competitive, even dominant in golf or any other sport, while still keeping their love for the game intact? How do we not force our kids to choose between excellence and enjoyment? Let's start with this quote from the book. It's called The Best, and it's about how elite athletes are made. The author and the sports scientist Mark Williams puts it this way: the most successful athletes almost always have a sense of autonomy and ownership over their development. All right, let me repeat that. The most successful athletes almost always have a sense of autonomy and ownership over their development. It's not something that can be forced upon them. So in order to keep your kids competitive and continuously loving and learning the game, requires a self-determination theory, which was pioneered by psychologists Edward D.C. and Richard Ryan. Their decades of research show that intrinsic motivation, the kind that comes from within rather than the external pressure, is the most powerful and sustainable form of motivation. Whoa, okay. So, what does this look like in golf? I think it means allowing your child to have a voice and a choice in their own golf journey. But what the heck do they know? They're just a kid, right? Research from the Institute for Study of Youth Sports at Michigan State University confirms this approach. They found that when young athletes feel a sense of ownership over their development, they show greater persistence through challenges, more creativity in problem solving, and higher overall satisfaction. Okay, so here are some practical ways to foster autonomy. Instead of dictating practice schedules, collaborate with your child to create them. After tournaments, wait for them to initiate the conversation about their performance. Ask questions rather than giving directives, like, what do you think you need to work on? Instead of, you need to fix this. Allow them to have input on coaching, equipment, and tournament schedules. See, the goal isn't to abandon structure or guidance. It's to gradually transfer ownership of the process to your child. This doesn't mean stepping back completely. It means stepping into a different role from a director to a supporter. The second principle comes from a Stanford psychologist, Carol Dweck's groundbreaking research on mindsets. In her book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, Dweck distinguishes between a fixed mindset, which means believing talents are innate, and a growth mindset, believing abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. Here's what's fascinating. Parents and coaches often think they're promoting a growth mindset when they're actually reinforcing a fixed one. So when we say things like, you're so talented, you are a natural, you're actually establishing a fixed mindset framework. Instead, research shows that we should focus on effort, strategies, and progress. I remember watching Scottie Scheffler's mom talk about Scotty's development, and she never focused on his natural talent. She emphasized his work ethics and how he approached challenges. And she recalls how even as a junior golfer, Scotty would get excited about difficult courses because they presented a new puzzle to solve. In contrast, I've seen parents who constantly praise their child's natural talent unintentionally create fragility. These kids often avoid challenges that might reveal limitations in their, quote, natural ability. I know kids with incredible natural talent who fell apart after a series of bad rounds. Their parents were constantly telling her or him how gifted she was or he was. Maybe the pressure was too much to bear. We need to shift our language to focus on developing skills and efforts, allowing her or his resilience on the course to dramatically improve. Ha. Okay. The third principle addresses what happened in the driving range story I shared. It's about creating an emotional safety around performance, and it might be the most important element of all. Dr. Daniel Siegel is a clinical professor of psychiatry, and Dr. Tina Payne Bryson write in their book, The Whole Brain Child, that emotional regulation is something children develop gradually, largely by co-regulating with adults. See, when parents lose emotional control during a child's performance, they're essentially teaching their children that performance is tied to emotional safety and worth. Okay, think about the message that the father was sending to his daughter on the range. The message is, when you don't perform perfectly, I become emotionally unsafe. My love and approval are conditional on your performance. Oh boy. Or how about this? When I'm angry at your performance, I am not really angry at you. I am imposing my own failures and my own disappointments in my life that I never got to accomplish onto you. Now you carry it. Okay, research from the Institute for the Study of Youth Sports show that one of the most common reasons kids quit sports is the anxiety and pressure associated with parental expectations. The fear of disappointing parents becomes overwhelming. In contrast, the legendary UCLA basketball coach John Wood never focused on winning in his coaching. He famously said, "Success is a peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction, is knowing you did your best to become the best you are capable of becoming." Wow. Okay. Sam Winman, in his book Win at Losing, interviewed Olympic athletes about their development. A common thread emerged. Those who had parents who maintain a consistent emotional presence, regardless of performance outcomes, reported less performance anxiety and greater long-term success. I don't know if you guys met Jonathan or not, but if you go to our Better Golf Academy YouTube channel, he creates our follow-up content from these podcasts. So for instance, if the podcast is all about the pre-shot routine, he goes over the drills and adds his own input on it, and he records it all. It's pretty legit. Okay, you guys should all go and check it out. He really adds a lot of cool video content for Better Golf Academy. Well, Jonathan and I met when he was just out of college and looking into figuring out his full-time career. We ended up talking a lot about golf, and I found out that he played elite level junior golf and also high school. Basically, like, building this core foundation for his college golf career. Well, when it all came down to it, he decided not to play college. I'm like, bro, why? And he even said, I think that was I regret that. I regret that. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes I made. But I said, why? And he said, well, it was my own way of rebellion against my dad, which I found out that his dad was an extreme tiger dad. He broke all the rules in providing a safe environment for growth. In fact, he caused a lot of trauma in Jonathan, especially when it came to golf. And when we started playing together, Jonathan and I, he slowly started gaining more interest in the game. It eventually grew to start loving the game all over again. I think that was his phase of healing. But funny story. when we were playing one time, I hit my ball and got on the green, and I went up there and marked the ball, and he hasn't hit yet. He hasn't hit his approach shot yet. So I was just standing there, and I was standing there near the green, looking over at him with my arms crossed. And I felt that he was having a hard time focusing. And after he hit the shot, it was just a terrible approach shot. He came up to me and he's like, dude, don't ever do that again. I'm like, what? He's like, dude, my dad used to stand there every green, every tournament, watching my approach shot with that same posture. And when I hit a bad shot, he would shake his head in disgust. And that was so triggering, bro. You reminded me of my dad. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, sorry, bro. Okay, let's recap. So what's the question? The question is, how can we raise kids to be truly competitive, even dominant in the game of golf or any other sports, while keeping their love for the game intact? How do we not force our kids to choose between excellence and enjoyment? How can they have both? Well, let's go over these 3 principles. 1, fostering autonomy. 2, developing a growth mindset. And number 3, creating emotional safety. And these all work together as a system. They create an environment where excellence can flourish without sacrificing love for the game. Dr. Jean Cote, one of the world's leading researchers on youth sports development, found in his studies that children who stayed in sports long-term typically experience what he calls transformation coaching, a coaching that balances challenge with support and prioritizes a personal development alongside skill development. So what does that mean? It means that it's a type of coaching that pushes kids to improve while still being supportive and care about who they are becoming as people, not just how well they can hit a golf ball. The beauty of this approach is that it's not a choice between raising champions. The research strongly suggests that this is the optimal path for both competitive success and long-term love for the game. So I want to circle back to the girl on the driving range. What struck me most wasn't just her father's behavior, but the transformation I witnessed in her swing after their interaction. The mechanical precision remained, but the fluid joy had vanished. And that's the tragedy. You can force short-term technical compliance while simultaneously destroying the internal motivation that fuels long-term excellence and real, true success. See, as parents and coaches, we need to remember that our ultimate goal shouldn't be raising golf champions. It should be raising healthy, confident humans who may also become golf champions. This distinction matters. So if you're a parent of a junior golfer, I encourage you to reflect on these 3 principles again. Number 1, are you fostering autonomy and ownership? Are you developing a growth mindset culture? Number 3, are you creating emotional safety around performance? Small shifts in these areas can transform not only your child's golf development, but also your relationship with them, a relationship that will long outlast their competitive golf years. Okay, I feel like I've been lecturing, but this is very, very close to my heart. And I'm very, very passionate because I see a lot of damage out there that we're doing as parents to our kids. So let's get it right. Let's get it right. All right, you guys still there with me today? Man, I learned a bunch doing some research on this, and I hope you did too. And if you did, do me a huge favor. Share this episode with a parent who needs to hear this. Also, leave me a great review because I heard if you keep doing that, it would make this podcast really, really popular. So you want that for me, don't you? And hey, if you want to chat with me, directly, go to bettergolfacademy.com/hello. So yeah, leave me a note, say hello. I promise I'll get back to you, okay? Okay, so let's keep building this Better Golf Academy community together. And in the meantime, thank you so much for listening to Better Golf Academy podcast. I really appreciate you being here. Be awesome, and bye for now.